The story begins in a creepy place in the middle of the forest. People are searching for a missing couple, and the last place they were seen was a pit. Under the pit lies a creepy cave, and inside that cave there are strange-looking bells. One of the men searching for the couple has two dogs with him. The dogs go down into the cave and drink from a water pond inside. Afterwards, the man takes his dogs and goes back home, but he notices the dogs start acting strangely. Later, his daughter hears the dogs making strange sounds and calls her father. When the man goes to check on them, he is shocked to see the dogs' bodies merging together as if they have become one single creature. Sometime later, we meet a handsome young man named Tim. He opens an old box and takes out a picture of himself with his father and mother. He is still deeply affected by their death. His wife, Millie, enters. She loves him very much and wants to get him out of the state he is in, especially since their relationship has not been good for a while. She tells him to get ready so they can celebrate their wedding anniversary with their friends. Tim gets ready and goes to sit with Millie's brother and another friend, both of whom have a famous music band. Millie's brother tells Tim he needs him for an upcoming concert since Tim is a guitarist and has always dreamed of becoming a famous musician. He keeps pressuring and convincing him until Tim agrees to join them. Meanwhile, Millie is with her friend Carol, who is actually Tim's ex. Carol tells her that Tim will never change, explaining how their relationship was good at first, but then Tim became distant, which is why Carol broke up with him. Millie, because she loves Tim, says she will do everything she can to help him and bring the relationship back to what it used to be. Right after that, Millie gathers all their friends and tells Tim she loves him and wants to spend her life with him. Tim gets nervous and doesn't know how to respond. Millie feels embarrassed in front of their friends, but still decides to take Tim away to a country house so they can be alone and try to become closer. On the first night, something strange happens. Tim distances himself from Millie and suddenly imagines a scary-looking woman sitting in front of him, staring at him. He gets terrified and hides under the blanket, but the scary woman appears under the blanket as well. At that moment, he wakes up shocked and notices Millie isn't beside him. He gets up to look for her and finds her moving their things from the car. Tim apologizes to Millie for how he treated her the night before and helps her carry their stuff. Millie goes to take a shower while Tim smells a horrible odor. He follows it to the ceiling, brings a ladder, removes the lamp cover, and is shocked to find a group of dead rats. He removes them and throws them outside, but the way he looks at them isn't normal, as if he already had strange experiences with them before. We learn that Millie is working as a teacher at a school and doesn't know any of her colleagues yet. Jimmy, an old teacher at the school, Millie, and tells her he lives in a house in the forest. Millie says they're neighbors because she and Tim also live nearby and don't know much about the place yet. Jim tells her he's around any time if she needs anything. At night, Millie finds Tim in his office and calls him to bed, but he avoids her and says he still has work to do. Millie feels upset. The next day, they go out searching for the way to the train station so they can be ready for Tim's trip to the concert. Tim notices a place with lots of bells, as if they're markers for a specific location. He decides to take Millie and walk down that path, but it starts raining and their phone signal disappears. Suddenly, Tim steps on a pit and falls. Millie tries to pull him out, but both of them fall into the pit together. They find themselves in a very quiet and dark cave and decide to wait inside until the rain stops. Tim lights a fire to warm them and gives Millie the last bit of water he has to drink. Then he finds a pond of water inside, drinks from it, and fills Millie's bottle. They sit and talk, and Millie asks Tim about the strange look he had when throwing away the rats. Tim admits that when he was young, his father smelled something rotten in his room and told him to clean it. Tim cleaned it, but his father kept smelling the same odor for days. One day, Tim came home and found his father in his room holding a dead rat. From that day on, the smell of dead rats stuck with Tim, especially near his father's room. One day, he decided to open the door and was shocked to find his father dead, his body rotting, and his mother staring at him and laughing because she had gone insane after his father's death. Millie is touched by his story and comforts him. They sleep beside each other. Tim wakes up to a terrifying sound and notices something strange moving with every breath he takes. He looks at Millie and sees her eyes open in a creepy way, and someone screams and attacks him. Then he realizes it's a dream and wakes up terrified, telling Millie they need to leave immediately. They're shocked to find a strange substance sticking their legs together. They manage to pull their legs apart and run out of the cave quickly. Back at home, Millie takes a shower and asks Tim to massage her neck because it hurts. Tim feels something strange and without realizing it scratches Millie's shoulder with his nails. She screams and pulls away. She tells him to go take a shower while she drives to the city to buy some things. Tim then suffers a seizure, pressing his head against the wall until he cracks the tiles and hurts himself. When he wakes up, he decides to see a doctor. He tells the doctor he's been stressed and afraid away for a while and decided to spend some time with Millie in their countryside house. The doctor prescribes him a muscle relaxant to take whenever he feels another seizure coming. The doctor also tells Tim that in the same area where they live, a couple disappeared and nobody knows what happened to them. Tim returns home and searches on the internet about the missing couple. He finds their accounts with nothing on them except photos of them together before they disappeared. Tim likes the idea and tells Millie that when he dies, she should put their photos together and delete everything else. Suddenly, the door knocks. Millie finds her colleague Jimmy arriving to welcome them, bringing a bottle of alcohol as a gift. Millie introduces Tim to Jimmy and insists that Jimmy stay for dinner. Tim feels jealous, especially since Jimmy treats Millie kindly. Out of jealousy, Tim and Millie argue with each other, not realizing that Jimmy is sitting with them. Jimmy calms them down, telling them they must stay together and stop fighting. He then decides to leave so they can cool off. Afterwards, Millie is happy that Tim acted this way because it shows he's jealous for her, and she gets closer to it. But suddenly they stick together, and Millie thinks that Tim bit her. She feels upset by his behavior, while Tim keeps explaining that he didn't mean it and doesn't even know how it happened. That night, something even stranger occurs. Millie feels that Tim is lying on her hair, so she turns her head to move him away, but is shocked to find Tim unconscious, swallowing her hair in a strange way. Millie screams and keeps pulling her hair out of Tim's mouth, terrified, until Tim regains consciousness and moves away from her. Both of them keep staring at each other, not understanding what's happening. The next day, Tim packs his bag to travel to the concert, and Millie drives him to the train station. Before he leaves, Tim apologizes to Millie for what happened the night before, but Millie tells him she isn't upset and only wants him to enjoy the concert and have a good time. Millie gets in the car to go to work, but as soon as she moves away from Tim, he suffers another seizure. He quickly takes a muscle relaxant pill and sits on the ground until the train departs. Afterwards, Tim leaves everything behind and decides to go to Millie's school. At that moment, we learn that the daughter of the man with the two dogs is a student in Millie's class. Millie sees the girl drawing the two dogs as they were merging together, and she finds it very strange. Immediately after, Millie feels upset because Tim is far from her, so she calls Carol on video and tells her about the strange things happening between her and Tim. Carol advises her to separate from Tim because he seems mentally ill, hasn't achieved anything in his life, and the death of his parents affected him. But Millie tells Carol that she loves Tim and can't leave him. Suddenly, she sees Tim standing in the schoolyard among the children. Millie quickly ends the call with Carol and immediately goes to take Tim, rushing him into the bathroom and asking why he came back. Tim asks her to forgive him and tries everything he can to reconcile with her. Suddenly, a student overhears their voices in the bathroom and goes to tell Jimmy. Millie realizes the boy heard them and tries to move away from Tim to save the situation. But shockingly, they stick to each other again, not understanding how it happens. They separate by force, both of them in pain. Millie tells Tim to climb up and hide in the bathroom while she goes out to speak to Jimmy. She's nervous and apologizes to Jimmy for entering the boys' bathroom. Jimmy lets it slide and tells her next time to use the staff restroom. He then leaves, noticing that she's bleeding. As he walks away, he sees Tim's leg under the bathroom stall, yet he pretends he didn't notice. Afterwards, Millie and Tim return home. Millie is upset with Tim because he could have caused her to be disgraced at the school. Tim keeps apologizing for the embarrassing situation he put her in, but Millie is very upset with him. She tells him she will go to Jimmy's house to apologize for what happened. When she goes, she finds that Jimmy already forgot about the incident and invites her in to sit with him and see his house. Millie notices a picture of Jimmy with his wife, but quickly looks away before Jimmy sees her. Then she sits with him and tells him that she and Tim came here to solve the problems in their relationship, but from the very first moment, Tim's behavior started getting strange. She tells him she doesn't want to separate from him because she loves him and is sure he loves her too. Jimmy tells her that all relationships go through problems and hard times, but the most important thing is that both sides try to preserve the relationship. Millie thanks him for the advice and asks if someone else lives with him. Jimmy explains that he used to live with his wife, but they went through a tough period and argued over trivial reasons until his wife got fed up and decided to separate. After the separation, Jimmy realized he was the reason for all the fights and wished she would come back. Then Millie sees Tim standing in front of the window, eavesdropping on them. She becomes nervous and tells Jimmy she has to return home immediately. She goes out, takes Tim, and leaves before Jimmy notices. Even though Millie is upset with him, she knows that Tim needs her, so she holds his hand while they walk, reassuring him that she is by his side and loves him. At night, Tim is sitting in his office, then goes to check on Millie and finds her asleep in the bedroom. He takes a relaxant pill and goes back downstairs to the office. He opens the computer and checks the data of the last photo of the missing couple. Through the photo details, he discovers that the couple took that photo at the cave. He's shocked and zooms into the picture until he sees a bell with a strange symbol behind him. Before he can figure out the meaning of the symbol on the bell, the internet cuts off. Seconds later, he finds Millie with her head stuck in the office door, moving creepily in the exact directions Tim moves. As soon as he stops, Millie starts convulsing so violently that she almost shatters the glass door. Tim quickly opens it, and Millie falls on him, still trapped in that seizure, until Tim slaps her awake. Afterwards, Tim sits with Millie, confused about what happened, since she had never had seizures before. Remembering what he learned about the missing couple, he suspects the cave is the reason behind everything. He tells Millie that a strange energy is pulling them together and insists they must leave immediately. Millie doesn't believe him and asks him to sleep in another room to keep some distance. Yet as soon as she steps out the door, she freezes without reason. Tim confirms what he said, telling her he feels everything she feels, and decides to go to the underground cave to understand what's happening. Millie gets upset, telling him her parents are coming for lunch in 2 days and she doesn't want him there. Tim is heartbroken because he loves her and doesn't want to be apart. That night, each of them sleeps in separate rooms, locking the doors. Soon Tim wakes up to find an unnatural force dragging him toward Millie's room. Shocked, he tries to resist, planting himself on the floor, but something strange inside his body forces him to move. Suddenly, the same force drags Millie from her room toward Tim until they get close, and their hands start merging together as if they belong to one person. Tim tells Millie to open the drawer and get his medication. They open the bottle and quickly take the pills. To make it faster, they crush the pills and inhale them, their muscles finally starting to loosen. They pull their hands apart, but Tim loses consciousness before separating fully from Millie. When he wakes up, he finds their hands still fused together, and Millie has tied him to a chair. Holding an electric saw, she cuts the skin, binding them. Afterwards, Millie decides to go to the hospital, but Tim insists they must go to the cave instead. Millie screams at him, demanding to go to the hospital, but realizes she left the car key at Jimmy's house the last time she visited. She decides to retrieve it, while Tim grabs a rope and flashlight, heading straight for the cave. At the same time, Millie arrives at Jimmy's house but finds no one there. Instead, she discovers a video playing, showing several couples in a church with a bell identical to the one at the cave. The shocking part is that Millie sees Jimmy and his wife among them, all descending into the cave to perform strange rituals. Their bodies begin to merge into one, forming a single creature. Millie realizes that Jimmy himself is the result of merging with his wife. Suddenly, the video ends and Jimmy appears, trying to convince Millie to join them and merge with Tim. Horrified, she tells him to stay away, but Jimmy approaches and injures her. Millie strikes him on the head and escapes. Meanwhile, Tim sees inside the cave a picture of two bodies merging together. Suddenly, the missing couple attack him, still in their terrifying, monstrous merging state. Terrified, Tim grabs a knife from their bodies, stabs them, and runs out of the cave as fast as he can. Later, Millie and Tim reunite at home after learning the truth, but the merging force drags them toward each other again. At that moment, Tim begs Millie to resist, confessing his love and saying he wanted to spend his life with her. Suddenly, he pulls out a knife, ready to hurt himself to free her. But before he can, Millie collapses from severe blood loss, on the verge of death. She tells Tim she loves him and asks him to live his life and achieve the dreams they once shared. She loses consciousness in his arms as Tim screams in grief. Then he feels her pulse still faintly beating. He decides to tie himself to her in order to save her from death. Millie wakes up and realizes Tim couldn't let go of her. At that moment, they both decide to merge and live together forever in one body. The next day, Millie's parents arrive as planned, but they are shocked when a strange person opens the door with Millie's face but Tim's body and voice. And the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you in the next recap.